I'll never forget that night. The laughter, the clinking glasses, the smell of steak sizzling on the table I wasn't allowed to sit at. I stood there, dressed in my best outfit, clutching the small wrapped box I'd spent my last paycheck on. My stepbrother's voice cut through the air. "This table is for family." Everyone laughed. Everyone except me. My smile froze. I could feel my heart sink as my father looked at me with tired disappointment, and my stepmother pretended not to notice. I had come hoping to belong, to be seen, to feel like family again. Instead, I was reminded that I never would be. I stood there awkwardly, staring at the candles flickering between plates of expensive food. They didn't even invite me to sit nearby. "You can grab something from the bar," my father said casually. I did, just to avoid crying in front of them. I sat alone, watching them celebrate, the sound of their laughter stabbing through me again and again. When the waiter approached their table, with the black folder, holding the bill, I thought it was over. But he turned and walked straight to me. He placed the folder in front of me and said softly, "Mom, the gentleman said you're covering this tonight." I froze. Tooth 200. I looked up and saw my father's smirk. "You wanted to be part of the family, didn't you?" he said. My throat burned as everyone stared. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I paid. And as I walked out of that restaurant, broke and humiliated, something inside me hardened. They thought they'd crushed me. But they had no idea who I'd become after this. They thought they'd won. They were wrong. Growing up, I was always the outsider in my father's new family. After my mother passed, he remarried, and from that day forward, I became the shadow in their perfect picture. Sylvia, my stepmother, was beautiful, polished, and cold. Her son Ryan was everything she wanted him to be, spoiled, loud, and worshipped. I lived in the attic while he got the master suite. I got thrift store clothes while he got brand names. I wasn't jealous, just hopeful. I thought one day they'd see me for who I was. That night at the restaurant finally made me see the truth. They never would. The next morning, Ryan texted me, "Thanks for dinner, sis. Next time, don't order water. It looks cheap." I almost threw my phone. But I didn't. I took a deep breath, sat down at my old laptop, and opened his social media. Ryan was bragging again. Crypto profits, fancy cars, big business moves. But he wasn't smart enough to hide his trail, and I wasn't stupid enough to ignore it. I studied finance for years. I understood what I was seeing. His investments didn't make sense. And I knew, right then, where to look next. That night an idea started forming in my mind. If they only cared about money and image, then that's where I'd hurt them. Quietly. Perfectly. I smiled for the first time in days. Maybe being an outsider wasn't a curse. Maybe it was freedom. Weeks went by and I started watching. Every move, every post, every photo. My father's business, Sylvia's charity events, Ryan's luxury lifestyle. It all looked perfect. Too perfect. And then I found it. A small article praising my father's company. Buried in the details was the name of a partner. Someone notorious for shady dealings. I couldn't stop reading. Night after night, I pieced together documents, bank trails, property records. What I uncovered made my blood run cold. My father's success wasn't real. It was built on lies, fake numbers, and hidden accounts. The house, the cars, the luxury. Everything they had was stolen from others. I sat there, staring at my screen, feeling both disgusted and exhilarated. This was my weapon. But revenge isn't about rage, it's about patience. Timing. I started replying to my father's occasional texts, acting polite. I let Ryan keep posting. I let Sylvia keep smiling. Until one night, a strange call came through. A man's voice said, "You've been looking into the Henderson accounts. Careful. People disappear for less." My heart froze. No one should have known. Which meant someone inside the company had seen me. I was close. Too close. And I knew I couldn't stop now. A week later, I got an invitation. A gala? Hosted by my father's company. Family only? I almost laughed. Maybe they wanted to show me off as the obedient daughter again. Or maybe they didn't know what was coming. I went anyway. I wore a simple black dress and walked in calmly, even as people turned to whisper. My father's face stiffened. Sylvia forced a smile. Ryan leaned in, whispering, "Didn't think you'd show." I looked him in the eyes and said, "Oh, I'm not just here to show up." As the music played and speeches began, I excused myself and slipped to the back of the hall. I had planned every detail. The USB drive in my purse, the projector system, the timing. I pressed upload. Moments later, the large screen behind the stage flickered. The slideshow of my father's achievements vanished, replaced by spreadsheets, transaction records, offshore accounts. The crowd gasped. Murmurs spread like wildfire. Sylvia's face went white. Ryan's jaw dropped. My father looked like the ground had vanished beneath him, their perfect world shattered before hundreds of witnesses. I stood silently, watching the empire they built on deceit crumble in real time. The next morning, every headline carried their names. Businessmen under investigation. Charity fraud exposed. Henderson Empire collapses. I didn't answer any calls. I just watched. One text came from my father. "Was this you?" I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Within weeks, everything changed. Sylvia fled. Ryan's cars were taken. The mansion was listed for sale. I walked past that same restaurant one evening, the one where it all began. Through the glass, I saw a family laughing together, the same way mine once did. The waiter from before recognized me. "Table for one?" he asked. I smiled. "Yes," I said. "For family?" Months later, I was there again, eating quietly, when that same waiter approached me holding an envelope. "Your father came by?" he said softly. "He asked me to give you this." I hesitated, then opened it. Inside was a check for $2,200, and a note. "I didn't raise you right. You didn't need us. You never did. Dad." I stared at the note for a long time. The words didn't heal me, but they didn't hurt anymore either. I folded it neatly and tucked it away, not as forgiveness, but as proof that I survived. I started my own business after that, helping people rebuild after being cheated, manipulated, used. I taught them what I learned the hard way. That you don't need to sit at someone else's table to prove your worth. You can build your own. And for the first time in my life, I felt free. Sometimes family isn't blood. It's who stands beside you when everyone else pushes you away. They told me, "This table is for family." They were right. It was. But what they didn't know was that one day, I'd have my own table. One built on truth, love, and self-respect. And when that day came, I didn't invite them. Because I no longer needed to belong to their story. I had already rewritten my own.